Received a call in reference to a down plane. I made contact with West Houston Airport. They advised that yesterday around 7:55 p.m. a Piper Cherokee Paul Adam 28 departed from the airport, and they lost contact with the aircraft at roughly 8 p.m. What they advised is that they had some personnel that went up to look for the plane. Apparently it was somewhat of a haze on the ground. They circled where they thought they might have saw some debris until the authorities got here, and then they left. Today around 1 o'clock they located the plane, they being the Harris County Sheriff's Department. They located it by foot, and then they called out their helicopter to circle the scene to verify what they found. I made the scene and I went back there. It's a heavily wooded area. It's a 45-minute walk and about a 25-minute ride via ATV. So I always like to lay eyes on a crash scene. It's a sad day. My heart goes out to the family, and our thoughts and prayers. We have the loss of 2 lives. Initially, it was thought that there may be 2 males on board. When I examined the wreckage, the one was ejected. That is a male. One that's in the fuselage still appears to be a female. She has pink toenails, long hair, and some thumb rings and some other rings on one of the hands from what I could ascertain. Until they extract the body out of the wreckage, which is significant damage to the fuselage, they'll have to verify that it is in fact a female. Questions?
Do you guys recover the person who was ejected, Sergeant?
It's a short distance away from the plane. He's got some severe damage to the lower legs, and all he's wearing is some underwear.
Any idea if they died on impact? They might have died over
The significant damage to the plane would lead me to believe they died on impact.
How many factors played a role into the plane going down?
I don't understand the question.
What played a role in the plane going down itself? Was it a malfunction on the plane itself, or anything?
The
like that?
NTSB and the FFA investigate planes for that reason. I'm not able to answer that question.
Do you know where they were going?
They were headed to Pearland, Texas, leaving out of West Houston.
And they are Houston residents?
The driver's license or some type of identification was located on one of them that had a Houston address, but I was advised that the plane may be registered out of Rogers, Arkansas. And from what I've been told, the plane was recently purchased. So I don't know if it was put into his name or not.
Do you have approximate ages on them? Could you tell by looking at the crash scene who was the pilot?
So typically you have 2 seats in a plane. There's severe damage where there's a breach in the fuselage. So when I walked up on scene, there's a gaping hole where you could see what appears to be a female. On the other side, it's still closed, so I can only assume that he came out on the left side of the plane, and she's right there at the edge, face down.
What was the number on the plane?
Excuse me?
What was the number on the plane again?
Tail plane, or the tail number is 3865K as in King. 3865K as in King.
Did you know the ages and the race of the passengers? I mean, the persons?
I don't know the ages of them, and I dare not assume.
Was there ever any kind of mayday call or anything like that? What led, I guess, investigators to this area?
They said they lost communication, so I don't think there was a mayday. They were in the air from 7:55 to 8, and then they lost contact. So due to the experience of those at the airport, they went up and tried to locate.
So at what point was DPS informed that there was a missing aircraft?
I was informed roughly about 2 o'clock today, 2 o'clock, 2:30.
Did that seem late to you? Were you surprised?
Nothing surprises me anymore, but I was somewhat taken away. If it crashed last night, why didn't we get a call last night? But here again, the airport went up to look for them. They appeared to find what they thought was debris, and local law enforcement was brought out here, but due to the weather and the fog, I'm here to tell you the brush is heavy back there. They had to bring in dozers and chainsaws and cut their way through it. So the only way that I would think that you'd be able to see that if the thing caught on fire. And it doesn't seem like there's any evidence of it catching on fire to me when I went back there.
So what would be proper procedure in a plane crash like this? Would you be notified like last night?
Typically, if there's
DPS find out?
typically if there's a plane crash, the county may be notified first because they may be closer, and then protocol is for DPS to protect the scene, if you will. We don't necessarily investigate plane crashes. We protect the scene until the FFA or the NTSB gets here to investigate it. And I was advised that the NTSB will be here tomorrow.
What time, Sergeant, do you say they found the victims?
It was the plane crash was around 1 o'clock.
And what time they find them?
The plane crash was around 1 o'clock today.
The plane crashed at 1 today?
They found the crash at 1 today. I don't know when I would assume when they found the plane, they found the victims.
So can you walk us through the next step? So is the wreckage going to stay out there for a while, or what happens?
It is. So they're trying to, you have to use markers. The sun is gone down, so mosquitoes and those types of things up, but they're using ATVs, and ATVs have lights on them. You're not familiar with the area, so they're tying markers to guide you in and out, and they're trying to clear the scene so the appropriate folks can come in and identify and secure the bodies to have those removed. And I'm sure the passenger that's still in the plane is going to have to be extracted, and then they're going to try to secure the plane, and I'm not sure if they're going to try to take some of it out or all of it out. The wings are off of it, but the whole fuselage is still in one piece, but it's severe damage to it. So excuse me.
You said NTSB is going to be here tomorrow. Do you have a timeline for that?
I don't. I called them, and they advised me that Houston West lost contact with them last night. So I'm not really sure why we didn't get a notification last night, but an effort was made to try to locate the plane last night, and they were unsuccessful.
So because of the heavy woods, this is going to take time, Sergeant, to get that.
It is. I'm assuming that it's 2 minutes away, and I'm going to walk through, and they said no, sir. It's a 45-minute walk, and it's about 20-25 minutes via ATV.
So the ME's van came in there. Are they? When did they move in?
The ME's, everybody parked about this location, a distance up. Nobody drove in,
Right.
so they all were carted in via ATV.
Is the ME's office going to be removing the bodies before the NTSB starts their investigation?
I would imagine they had a body bag, and they were placing the mail in it as I left.
You mentioned a driver's license. Has anybody, family members, loved ones, anybody been notified at this point?
There's a female, what I've been told, is a fiance and a friend, quote unquote, but that's not a family member. So, and I would say that the next kin has not been notified.
And DPS is responsible for the notification?
We will make notification. Mm-hmm.
What would be the next steps as far as figuring out, for instance, the level of licensure of the pilot, whether or not he was actually clear to fly through dark weather?
I would imagine the NTSB or the FAA is going to determine what kind of credentialing he had to fly the craft.
Any idea just yet if weather played a part at all?
I'm not 100% sure, so I don't watch the weather as closely as those who probably fly, but I was told there may have been a haze on the ground. That's what they advised at West Houston Airport, and they articulated that when they were trying to actually look for the wreckage.
Do they believe that he may have been trying, or they may have been trying to land the plane at some point?
He advised that there was a steep rate of descent. Typically when you land a plane, the descent rate is not that steep. But here again, I would be guessing if I assumed that he had engine trouble, whatever the case may be. I don't know.
Can you describe the orientation of the aircraft as opposed to the airport, whether it looked like they may have been trying to head back towards it, or whether they were still heading away from it, how far from the airport they made it?
The authorities or the personnel at the airport advised that they departed, and then they lost contact at 8 o'clock, from 7:55 to 8 o'clock. He didn't advise that they were trying to come back or anything like that. He said they lost contact at that point, which leads me to believe they probably were not headed back.
In your experience, Sergeant, you think that since they lost communication, you think the engine was cut off?
I don't think they lost communication when the engine was cut off. I think they lost communication when it hit the ground.